I was jealous of my husband's dead wife, so I took it out on his traumatized son for years. On Mother's Day I finally said the cruel thing out loud, and by nightfall I was divorced, investigated for abuse, and alone forever. You don't even have a mother. Why would you celebrate Mother's Day? The words came out of my mouth so easily. Like I'd been thinking them for years and finally had permission to say them out loud. Noah stood in the hallway, holding a card he'd made at school. He was 9 years old. His mother had been dead for 3 years. And I just told him he had no reason to celebrate a holiday designed for kids to honor their mothers. His face crumpled. Not dramatically. Just this small, quiet collapse. Like I confirmed something he'd always suspected but hoped wasn't true. I made this for you, he whispered, holding out the card. I didn't take it. I'm not your mother, Noah. We've talked about this. My husband Daniel appeared in the doorway behind me. I didn't know he was there. Didn't know he'd heard everything. What did you just say to my son? I'm writing this from a hotel room because I don't have a home anymore. I don't have a husband. I don't have a family. I have a 6-year-old daughter who keeps asking why Daddy won't talk to Mommy, and I have to lie to her because I can't tell her the truth. The truth is I destroyed a child. Methodically. Deliberately. For 3 years. And I didn't even realize how much I enjoyed it until it was too late. Let me go back. Let me explain how I became the kind of person who could look a grieving 9-year-old in the eye and tell him his dead mother means he doesn't get to celebrate Mother's Day. I met Daniel 4 years ago. He was a widower with a 6-year-old son. His wife, Caroline, had died in a hiking accident. Fell off a cliff while they were on a family trip. Daniel and Noah had watched it happen. Daniel was devastated. Noah was traumatized. They were both in therapy when I met Daniel at a work conference. He told me about Caroline on our 3rd date. How perfect she'd been. How much he missed her. How Noah still had nightmares about watching her fall. I should have walked away then. I should have recognized that I was entering a situation I wasn't equipped to handle. But Daniel was successful and handsome and stable. And I was a single mother struggling to make ends meet with a 2-year-old daughter. He represented security. A better life. A father for Grace. So I ignored every red flag and pushed forward. Meeting Noah was awkward. He was quiet and watchful. He didn't talk much. When he did, he had this nervous habit of touching his ear, like he was checking to make sure he was still real. He's been through a lot, Daniel explained. The therapist says he's making progress. He just needs time and patience. I had neither. Noah didn't warm up to me. I didn't warm up to him. We existed in this polite, strained tolerance while Daniel desperately tried to blend our families. Grace, on the other hand, loved Daniel immediately. He bought her toys, played with her, gave her the attention I never had time to give because I was working 2 jobs. I started to resent Noah for not being as easy as Grace. For not being grateful that his father had found someone new. For keeping photos of Caroline in his room. For talking about Mommy like she was still alive. Daniel and I got married when Noah was 7 and Grace was 3. We moved into a new house. Fresh start for everyone. That's when things got bad. Noah started having more nightmares. The new house, the new family, the new stepmother who clearly didn't like him. It was too much. He'd wake up screaming 2 or 3 times a week. Daniel would rush to his room. I'd lie in bed, furious that my sleep was being interrupted. He needs to get over this, I told Daniel one night after a particularly bad episode. It's been 2 years. He can't keep using his mother's death as an excuse. Daniel looked at me like I'd slapped him. Excuse for what? For attention. For special treatment. For keeping you from moving on. He's a child who watched his mother die. There's no timeline for grief. Well, maybe if you stop babying him, he'd toughen up. I can see Daniel's face now, looking back. The way his jaw tightened. The way he chose his next words carefully. He needs patience and love. Not tough love. Just love. I'm trying, I lied. I wasn't trying. I was actively making things worse. Grace started to pick up on my attitude toward Noah. Kids are perceptive that way. She learned that Mommy didn't really like Noah, so she didn't have to either. She started saying cruel things. My mommy is alive. Your mommy is dead. Daddy loves me more because I'm not sad all the time. You're not really part of our family. I should have corrected her. Should have taught her empathy and kindness. Instead, I let it happen. Sometimes, when Daniel wasn't around, I'd even smile. Noah retreated further into himself. Stopped talking at dinner. Stopped trying to engage with any of us. He'd do his homework in silence, eat in silence, go to his room in silence. He's depressed, Daniel's mother told me during a visit. That boy needs help. He's in therapy, I said dismissively. He needs a mother's love. He needs you to step up. I'm not his mother. She looked at me with such disgust. Then what are you? I didn't have an answer. Things escalated over the years. Every time Noah needed something, I'd sigh loudly. Roll my eyes. Make it clear he was an inconvenience. When he needed new shoes, I'd complain about the cost while buying Grace whatever she wanted. When he struggled with homework, I'd tell him to figure it out himself while helping Grace with hers. When he asked if we could do something together as a family, I'd find an excuse why Grace and I had other plans. Daniel noticed. Of course he noticed. We started fighting about it. You treat Noah like he's invisible, Daniel said. I treat him like a normal kid. You're the one who coddles him. I love him. There's a difference. You use his trauma as an excuse to let him off the hook for everything. What hook? He's a child. He does his chores, gets good grades, never complains. What more do you want from him? I want him to be less needy. He's not needy. He barely asks for anything. He's learned not to because you've made it clear you don't want to give it. These fights became weekly. Then daily. We'd scream at each other after the kids were asleep. He'd defend Noah. I'd defend my right to have boundaries with a child who wasn't mine. You married me knowing I had a son, Daniel would say. And you married me knowing I wasn't going to replace his dead mother. Every fight ended the same way. Daniel would look at me with this profound sadness and say, "What happened to you? You weren't this cruel when we met." I was. I just hid it better. The physical abuse started small. A grab that was too rough when he wasn't moving fast enough. A shove when he was in my way. Nothing that left marks. Nothing Daniel would notice. But Noah noticed. He started flinching when I came near him. Started keeping his distance. That should have stopped me. Should have horrified me. Instead, I felt powerful. Like I'd finally found a way to make him understand his place in this house. Grace saw it happen once. I'd shoved Noah into the wall because he'd left his backpack in the hallway and I'd tripped over it. "Mommy, you hurt Noah," she said, eyes wide. "He shouldn't leave his things where people can trip. It's dangerous." She nodded slowly. Learning the lesson I was teaching. That Noah deserved whatever he got. The next week, she pushed him down the stairs. Not hard enough to seriously hurt him, but hard enough to send him tumbling down 5 steps. He was in my way, she said when Daniel asked what happened. Noah, sitting on the floor with a bruised elbow, didn't say anything. Just looked at me with those knowing, defeated eyes. I should have punished Grace. Should have had a serious conversation about violence and empathy. Instead, I gave her a mild talking to while Daniel was in the room, then bought her ice cream when he left for work. Daniel started working longer hours. I told myself it was because of his job. But I knew the truth. He couldn't stand being home. Couldn't stand watching me destroy his son. Which brings me to Mother's Day. I'd planned this whole elaborate day. Brunch at a nice restaurant, then shopping, then a movie. Just the 3 of us. Me, Daniel, and Grace. Noah wasn't invited. I'd made that clear in my planning. The night before, Daniel asked, "What time should we all be ready tomorrow?" "All? For Mother's Day? You said we're going to brunch." I said Grace and I are going to brunch. You can come if you want. But this is a Mother's Day celebration. For mothers and their children. His face hardened. Noah is my child. And I'm not his mother. We've established that. So he's supposed to just stay home alone while we celebrate? On Mother's Day? The day that reminds him most that his mother is dead? He can go to a friend's house or something. I don't know. But I'm not including him in our day. We thought about it for an hour. Finally, Daniel said fine. He'd stay home with Noah. Grace and I could go alone. I was furious. This was supposed to be my day. My perfect family day. And Noah had ruined it just by existing. The next morning, I woke up angry. Grace came bouncing into the bedroom with a card she'd made at school. Daniel was in the kitchen making breakfast. Noah was in the hallway, also holding a card. The card he'd made for me. That's when I said it. You don't even have a mother. Why would you celebrate Mother's Day? The card dropped from his hands. I made this for you, he whispered. I'm not your mother, Noah. We've talked about this. Daniel appeared behind me. His voice was ice. What did you just say to my son? I turned. He was holding Grace's hand, but his eyes were locked on mine. There was something in his expression I'd never seen before. Not anger. Something worse. Finality. I said I'm not his mother. Which is true. So there's no reason for him to make me a Mother's Day card or be included in Mother's Day activities. Pick up the card, Daniel said quietly. What? Pick up the card. Read it. Out loud. I looked at Noah. He was crying silently, the way he always cried. No sound. Just tears streaming down his face. The card was on the floor between us. I picked it up. Inside, in careful 9-year-old handwriting, thank you for taking care of me even though I'm not your real son. I know I make things hard. I'm sorry. Happy Mother's Day. Love, Noah. My hands shook. He stayed up until midnight making that, Daniel said. He asked me how to spell appreciate. He used his allowance to buy the materials. He wanted it to be perfect for you. I couldn't speak. Now tell him again that he has no reason to celebrate Mother's Day. Daniel. Tell him. Tell this child who watched his mother die, who has nightmares about it every week, who tries so hard to be good and quiet and invisible so he won't bother you, tell him that he has no reason to honor the woman who's supposed to be his stepmother. Grace started crying. Noah was pressed against the wall, trying to disappear. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. This wasn't a slip. This is who you've been for 3 years. I've watched it. I've tried to deny it. I've made excuses for you. But this? He grabbed the card from my hand. This is unforgivable. So what, you're canceling our plans? Punishing Grace because I hurt Noah's feelings? Yes. I'm canceling everything. We're not going anywhere. We're not celebrating anything. And you need to pack a bag and leave. My stomach dropped. What? Pack a bag. Get Grace's things too. You're leaving. Today. You can't kick me out of my own house. It's my house. My name on the deed. And you're not welcome here anymore. I looked at Noah, still crying silently against the wall. And I heard myself say the words that ended my marriage. Fine. Then send him away. Send him to boarding school or to your mother's or wherever. He's the problem here. He's exhausting. He's depressing. He makes everything difficult. If he was gone, we could be a normal family. The silence that followed was absolute. Daniel didn't yell. Didn't argue. Just looked at me like I was something he'd found on the bottom of his shoe. Get out, he said quietly. Take Grace. Get out of my house. I'll file for divorce tomorrow. Daniel. If you're not gone in 1 hour, I'm calling the police. He picked up Noah, who was now sobbing, and carried him upstairs. I heard the door to Noah's room close. Heard Daniel's muffled voice saying, "It's okay, buddy. She's leaving. You're safe. You're staying right here with me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I stood in that hallway for 10 minutes, frozen. Then Grace tugged on my hand. Mommy, why is everyone crying? I packed our bags in a fog. Threw clothes into suitcases. Grabbed Grace's favorite toys. Daniel came down as I was loading the car. His eyes were red. I want you to understand something, he said. Noah asked me if he should leave. If he should go live somewhere else so you and Grace could stay. That's what you've done to him. You've made a 9-year-old child think he should sacrifice his own home to make his abuser happy. I never. You pushed him. I saw the bruises. I ignored them because I didn't want to believe it. But I saw them. You shoved my son into walls. You grabbed him hard enough to leave finger marks. You allowed Grace to hurt him. You are an abuser. The word hit me like a physical blow. Abuser. I'm filing a police report, Daniel continued. I'm documenting everything. Every bruise. Every cruel word. Every time you withheld food or love or basic human decency from a traumatized child. And I'm making sure you never have unsupervised access to Grace until you get serious help. You can't take my daughter. Watch me. I have 3 years of evidence. Teachers who've noticed Grace's cruel behavior. My mother who's tried to intervene. Noah's therapist who's documented the abuse. You're not fit to parent either of these children. I got in my car. Grace was crying in the backseat, confused and scared. Mommy, where are we going? A hotel, maybe. Just for a few days. But I knew it wasn't for a few days. I watched Daniel's house get smaller in my rearview mirror and realized what I'd done. I tortured a child for 3 years because I couldn't handle his grief. I taught my daughter to be cruel. I destroyed my marriage. And I'd lost everything. The hotel room cost $89 a night. I could afford maybe a week before my credit cards maxed out. Grace cried herself to sleep that first night, asking for Daddy. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying Daniel's words. You are an abuser. I wanted to deny it. Wanted to convince myself he was overreacting. That I'd been strict, not abusive. That Noah was too sensitive. But the bruises were real. The shoves were real. The deliberate cruelty was real. I'd abused a child. The police came the next day. 2 officers, a man and a woman, knocking on my hotel room door at 8 a.m. We need to speak with you about Noah Morrison, the woman said. They asked me questions for an hour. Whether I'd ever struck Noah. Whether I'd withheld food. Whether I'd encouraged Grace to hurt him. I lied. Of course I lied. Denied everything. They didn't believe me. We have photos, the male officer said. Bruises on his arms, his back. Finger-shaped. Dated over the past 6 months. His therapist has documented behavioral changes consistent with abuse. His teacher has reports of him flinching at sudden movements, showing signs of food insecurity, wearing the same clothes multiple days in a row. I didn't. Ma'am, we also have testimony from multiple witnesses. Your mother-in-law. Neighbors. A friend's parent who saw you grab Noah roughly in a parking lot. My mouth went dry. We're not arresting you today, the woman said. But you're being investigated. And Children's Services will be assessing your fitness to parent your daughter. They left. Grace sat on the bed, eating a vending machine Pop-Tart, oblivious to the fact that her mother was being investigated for child abuse. My lawyer, court-appointed because I couldn't afford a real one, called that afternoon. Daniel's filed for divorce and sole custody of Grace pending the abuse investigation, he said. He's also seeking a restraining order preventing you from contacting Noah. He can't take Grace. She's my daughter. He has evidence that you've modeled abusive behavior toward Noah and failed to correct similar behavior from Grace. He's arguing that you're an unfit parent. That's insane. Grace is fine. Grace pushed a child down the stairs, ma'am. That's documented. A teacher saw it. And when questioned, Grace said you told her it was okay because Noah deserved it. I felt sick. I never said that. Did you punish her for pushing him? Silence. That's what I thought. The court will see that as tacit approval. Possibly coaching. What do I do? You cooperate with the investigation. You get into therapy immediately. You show remorse. And you pray the court believes you can change. I hung up and Googled therapists. Found one who could see me that week. Dr. Patterson was a small woman in her 60s with kind eyes that hardened when I told her why I was there. Court ordered? She asked. Not officially. But my lawyer says it'll help my case. Your case to keep custody of your daughter after abusing your stepson. I flinched to the bluntness. I didn't abuse him. I was just strict. She pulled out a legal pad. Tell me about a typical interaction with Noah. I described breakfast. How Noah would sit quietly, eat quickly, try to be invisible. How I'd ignore him while chatting with Grace. Did you ever speak to him directly at breakfast? Sometimes. To say what? To tell him to hurry up. Or clean up his dishes. Or stop dragging his feet. Did you ever ask how he slept? How he was feeling? What he was looking forward to that day? Silence. Did you ever touch him gently? Ruffle his hair? Hug him? Pat his shoulder? He didn't like being touched. Did he tell you that? Or did you assume that because he flinched when you came near him? The room was suddenly too small. He flinched, Dr. Patterson said quietly, because you hit him. Children don't flinch from gentle caregivers. I didn't hit him. I grabbed him sometimes. When he wasn't listening. Show me. What? Show me how you grabbed him. I hesitated, then grabbed my own forearm. Squeezed hard enough to demonstrate. Harder, she said. You're holding back because you know I'm watching. Show me how you really grabbed him. I squeezed harder. Hard enough to leave marks. Dr. Patterson nodded. That's assault. In the eyes of the law and basic human decency, that's assault. You assaulted a child. Repeatedly. I started crying. Not out of remorse. Out of self-pity. Out of fear that I was going to lose everything. Why did you hate him? She asked. I didn't hate him. Then why did you hurt him? I don't know. Yes, you do. You need to figure out why. Because until you understand what drove you to abuse a grieving child, you're a danger to every child in your care. Including your daughter. The sessions continued twice a week. Dr. Patterson was relentless, pushing me to examine every cruel word, every shove, every time I turned away when Noah needed something. He reminded you of Caroline, she said in our 4th session. What? Noah. He reminded you of Daniel's first wife. The perfect woman you could never replace. Every time you looked at him, you saw proof that you were second choice. It hit me like a truck because it was true. He looked like her, I admit it. Same eyes. Same quiet way of moving. Daniel would look at him and I could see it. He was seeing Caroline. So you punished Noah for existing? For being proof that Daniel loved someone before you? Yes. Finally. Honesty. And Grace? Dr. Patterson asked. Why did you encourage her cruelty? I didn't encourage. You allowed it. You smiled when she was cruel. You bought her ice cream after she pushed him. Why? Because if Noah was the problem, then I was right to resent him. If even a child could see he was difficult, then it wasn't my fault. You used your 6-year-old daughter to justify your abuse. I nodded, crying. You've destroyed 2 children, Dr. Patterson said. Noah, obviously. But also Grace. You've taught her that cruelty is acceptable. That some people deserve to be hurt. That love is conditional and arbitrary. You've set her up to be either an abuser or a victim in her future relationships. The custody hearing was 3 months after I left. I'd been living in a crappy apartment, working my old job, seeing Grace for supervised visits twice a week. The supervised visits were court-ordered after Grace told her court-appointed therapist that Mommy says Noah deserved to be hurt because he was sad all the time. During visits, a social worker sat in the corner, taking notes. Watching every interaction between me and my daughter. Grace was different. Quieter. More watchful. She'd started having nightmares. She's confused, her therapist told me. She doesn't understand why she can't live with both parents. Why her behavior toward Noah was wrong when you implied it was right. She's displaying signs of anxiety and behavioral issues. I can help her. You caused them. You're the last person who should be helping her through this. The hearing was brutal. Daniel's lawyer brought everything. Photos of Noah's bruises. Teacher reports. Testimony from Noah's therapist. A statement from Daniel's mother describing my treatment of Noah over the years. They played a recording of Grace, talking to her therapist. Mommy doesn't like Noah, her little voice said. She says he's too sad. She says sometimes people are just hard to love. Did Mommy ever hurt Noah? The therapist asked gently. She pushes him sometimes. When he's in the way. One time she grabbed his arm really hard and he cried, but she told him to stop being a baby. How did that make you feel? I thought it was okay. Mommy was just teaching him to be better. But Daddy said it's never okay to hurt people. Now I don't know what's right. I sat in that courtroom listening to my daughter's confusion and realized I destroyed her moral compass. My lawyer called me to the stand. I testified about my stress, my feeling of being overwhelmed, my struggle to bond with a traumatized child. Daniel's lawyer destroyed me on cross-examination. Did Noah ever hit you? No. Did he ever disrespect you? He was difficult. Did he ever curse at you, throw things, destroy property, hurt your daughter? No, but... So this 9-year-old child, who had lost his mother, who was struggling with trauma, who by all accounts was quiet and obedient, this child deserved to be grabbed hard enough to bruise. Shoved into walls? Emotionally tormented? I didn't torment him. You told him he had no reason to celebrate Mother's Day because his mother was dead. You said that to a grieving child. Do you stand by that statement? I couldn't answer. Do you stand by that statement? She repeated. I was angry. I didn't mean it. But you said it. Along with countless other cruel things over 3 years. And you physically hurt him. Regularly. Correct? I was trying to discipline. Yes or no? Did you grab him hard enough to leave bruises? Yes. Did you shove him into walls? Yes. Did you encourage your daughter's cruelty toward him? Not encourage, I just. Did you punish her when she hurt him? Not always. Did you ever? Silence. Let the record show the defendant did not answer. No further questions. The judge gave Daniel primary custody. I got supervised visitation every other weekend pending completion of therapy and parenting classes. The restraining order against contacting Noah was granted and extended for 5 years. I walked out of that courthouse having lost my daughter, my home, and any claim to being a decent human being. The supervised visits continued. Grace was slowly improving with therapy, but she was wary of me now. Careful about what she said. I miss Daddy, she said during one visit. I know, baby. I miss Noah too. That surprised me. Really? He's nice now. We play games together. He helps me with homework. He doesn't cry as much anymore. Noah was healing. Now that I was gone. That's good, I managed. Daddy says you're sick and that's why you were mean to Noah. Are you getting better? Out of the mouths of babes. I'm trying. 6 months post-divorce, I ran into Daniel at a grocery store. He was with both kids. Noah was laughing at something Grace said. Actually laughing. He saw me and the laughter died. He moved closer to Daniel, who put a protective hand on his shoulder. Grace saw me and waved. Hi, Mommy. Daniel's face was stone. He didn't acknowledge me. Just steered both kids toward a different aisle. I stood there, alone with my cart of frozen dinners and cheap wine, watching my daughter disappear around a corner with the family I used to be part of. The family that was better without me. Dr. Patterson asked me in our next session how it felt. Seeing them happy without me? Yes. Like I'm the monster in a fairy tale who's been defeated. They're all living happily ever after and I'm just gone. That's accurate. I destroyed a child for 3 years because I was jealous and resentful and cruel. I taught my daughter to be cruel too. I lost everything. And they're all better off. Yes. Is there any coming back from this? She was quiet for a long time. For you? Maybe. With years of intensive therapy. With genuine change. But for them? For Noah? No. You can't undo 3 years of abuse. You can't give him back his sense of safety. You can't erase the lessons you taught him about worthlessness and being unloved. What about Grace? Grace is young enough that intensive therapy can help. But your relationship with her? That's damaged too. She knows what you did. She knows you modeled cruelty and violence. She'll always remember that. So I just live with this? Yes. You live with it. Every single day. That's your penance. A year after the divorce, I heard through my lawyer that Daniel was engaged to a woman named Hannah who worked at Noah's school. She was a counselor. She specialized in trauma. From what I understand, my lawyer said, she's been wonderful with Noah. Very patient, very loving. The complete opposite of. He caught himself. Of me, I finished. You can say it. Grace would have a stepmother now. One who knew how to love damaged children. One who wouldn't hurt them. I should have been jealous. Instead, I felt relieved. At least someone would do right by Noah. I got a letter from Noah's therapist recently. She wanted my permission to share parts of my case file with a research project on step-parent abuse. Noah's recovery has been remarkable, she wrote. Since your removal from his home, his nightmares have decreased by 80%. His anxiety is manageable with therapy. He's making friends. Laughing again. The transformation is significant enough that we believe his case would be valuable for understanding the impact of removal from an abusive environment. She needed my consent to use the documentation. The photos of bruises. The statements. All of it. I signed the consent form. If my abuse of Noah could help other kids in similar situations, then at least some small good could come from my monstrous behavior. I see Grace twice a month now. She's 8. She talks about Hannah with casual affection. Hannah took us to the zoo. Hannah makes really good pancakes. Hannah says it's okay to be angry but not okay to hurt people. Hannah is teaching her the lessons I should have taught her. Last month, Grace told me, Noah calls Hannah Mom now. Is that okay? My chest felt tight. If he wants to, yes. That's okay. He asked me if it would make you sad. I said maybe, but it's still okay because Hannah is nice and you weren't. The honesty of children is devastating. You're right. I wasn't nice. Hannah is better for him. Are you still sick? Daddy says you were sick and that's why you hurt Noah. Daniel had given me an out. A narrative that made me less monster, more victim of my own mental illness. I was sick, I said. But that's not an excuse. I hurt Noah and that was wrong. I'm sorry I hurt your brother. He's really happy now, Grace said. He smiles a lot. He's teaching me chess. My daughter has a brother she loves. A stepmother who treats them both with kindness. A father who protects them. She has everything she needs. And none of it involves me. I'm 35 years old. I have supervised visits with my daughter twice a month. I have a restraining order from a child I abused. I have a scar on my soul where my humanity used to be. I work. I go to therapy. I attend my court-mandated parenting classes where I sit with actual criminals and learn how not to hurt children. I'm the cautionary tale in those classes. The facilitator uses my case as an example. This woman abused her stepson for 3 years while disguising it as discipline. She encouraged her biological child to abuse him too. This is what unchecked resentment looks like. Everyone stares at me when she says it, wondering how someone could be so cruel. I wonder the same thing. I look back at the woman who told a 9-year-old he had no reason to celebrate Mother's Day, and I don't recognize her. Except I do. She's me. She's always been me. I just finally got caught. Noah is 12 now. I saw a photo on Daniel's Facebook. I'm blocked, but mutual friends still have public profiles. He's taller. Smiling. Standing between Daniel and Hannah, both of them with their hands on his shoulders. He looks loved. He looks safe. He looks like he's finally healed from me. That's what I wanted to say. That I'm glad he's healed. That I'm sorry for what I did. That I hope he grows up to be happy and healthy and never thinks about me again. But I can't say any of that because I'm not allowed to contact him. Not now. Not in 3 years when the restraining order expires. Probably not ever. Some bridges don't just burn. They explode. And I lit the match. If you're reading this and you're a step-parent who resents your stepchild, leave. Pack your bags and walk away before you do what I did. If you feel that visceral dislike when you look at a child who lost their parent, get therapy immediately. Not in a few months. Now. If you've ever grabbed a child hard enough to leave marks, you're not disciplining. You're abusing. Stop. Don't be me. Don't spend 3 years destroying a child and then spend the rest of your life knowing that the best thing you ever did for them was disappear. I told Noah he had no reason to celebrate Mother's Day because his mother was dead.